Hey, what's going on YouTube? Yes, I'm back, and in this video, I'm gonna be continuing from the previous challenges of object-oriented programming. So this one, it talks about verifying an object's constructor with instance of. So anytime a constructor function creates a new object, the object is said to be an instance of its constructor. JavaScript gives a convenient way to verify this with the instance of operator. Instance of allows you to compare an object to a constructor returning true or false based on whether or not that object was created with a constructor. Here's an example. So it's creating the variable and assigning a function, assigning a constructor to it. So yep, that's a constructor. That's a constructor here with two parameters, name and color. So let row equal to new bird. So it's creating a new instance of a bird called as crow and assigning it these values as in the name and the color. So in this case, crow is called the instance of bird. It's true. Cool. So if an object is created without using a constructor, instance of will verify that it's not an instance of that constructor. So let canary, and that's an object which has name, color, and numlex as properties, and these are the values. So canary instance of bird is equal to false. Right. So now it says that create a new instance of the house constructor, calling it my house and passing a number of bedrooms. Then use the instance of to verify that it's an instance of house. Cool. Right. So basically, what it means is that if you create a variable and assign it a constructor, so which is this function here, the function constructor will be assigned to this variable. Okay, and then if you want to assign an object to this constructor of bird, then it will be read as the crow is the instance of the bird. Alright, so and here, in order for the instance of keyword to work, says that we need to specify that this so it says that if an object is created without a constructor, so if an object doesn't have a constructor, then it won't, then this instance of, so object is an instance of this constructor will return false. Perfect. So now it says there create a new instance of house constructor, and you put below. Right. So it says create a new instance of house constructor. So we would do house is equal to okay. So essentially, what it says there, create an instance of the house constructor. So let's create the instance and call it my house. So we're gonna call this instance my house. Alright, and then pass it, passing a number of bedrooms. Say we have 3 bedrooms. Alright, and now it says use instance of to, which is a keyword, to verify that it's an instance of the house. So my house, instance of house. And let's see if this passes the test. Yes, brilliant. We are unstoppable. Let's go to the next challenge. You're doing pretty good, guys. Alright, so this one says about understanding own properties. Okay. In the following example, the bird constructor defines 2 properties. Yep, name and numLegs. Okay, so name and numLegs. Name and numLegs are called own properties because they are defined directly on the instance object. Okay, cool. So because they're directly defined in the object, so they would be called the object's own properties. Alright, that means that the dog and canary, which is this and this and this one, has its own separate copy of these properties. Okay, yep. In fact, every instance of bird will have its own copy of these properties. Okay, right. The following code adds all of the own properties of duck to the array own props. Okay, yep. Yep, cool. And it does a for loop property in duck, and if duck has own property, which is a property of in these 2 properties, then own props, and then that property is pushed into on props array, and then on props is console out to the console. I mean, it's printed to the console, and it prints name and legs. So it's essentially it just inserted these properties here, name and legs, to the own props array by choosing a push method. Add the own properties of canary to the array on props. So canary is this, yep, and own props is this. So add own properties of canary, yep, to the array on props. So what we're gonna do is use a for loop and say let's property in I think it would be dot yeah, canary. Okay, so now we're gonna check if canary has the property has so now we're gonna check if canary has own properties, which is name and numLegs defined in the bird constructor. and if it has, we're gonna push that all those properties to the onProps array. Okay, so I would do if canary has own property, and then the property and then the particular property. If it has it, then I'm gonna be pushing it to the onProps array. Push, and then the property. Oops, property. Alright. Cool. So I think I'm done here now. What it says, yeah, to the array on properties. So basically, what I've done is that I've looped through the properties of Henry, and I've checked that if this if Henry if this object has, I mean, if this instance has these properties, which it does because these properties are defined in this constructor. Okay, then if it has it, so which it does, so I'm gonna just insert all those properties in onProps array by this line. Alright, by using a push method. So wherever the property is, I'm pushing it to the onProps array, which is this one. Alright, and let's check if we pass the test. Yes, brilliant. Alright, let's proceed to the next one. Alright, cool. So in this one it says use prototype properties to reduce duplicate code. Since numlex will probably have the same value for all instances of bird, yep, you essentially have a duplicated variable numlex inside each bird instance. This may not be an issue when there are only 2 instances, but imagine if there are millions of instances. There would be a lot of duplicated variables. A better way is to use bird's prototype. The prototype is an object that is shared amongst all instances of bird. Here's how to add numlex to the bird prototype. So bird.prototype.numlex. Right, cool. Now all instances of bird have the numlex property. Yep, cool. Since all the instances automatically have the properties on the prototype, think of a prototype as a recipe for creating objects. Okay, so prototype is essentially a recipe for creating objects. Note that the prototype for duck and canary, canary is a part of the bird. Sorry guys, apparently my pronunciation went a bit off track. Off track on this word. So is a part of the bird constructor as bird.prototype. Nearly every object in JavaScript has a prototype property, which is a part of the constructor function that created it. Add numlex property to the property add a numlex property to the prototype of the dog. Right, so now we can add numlex property to the prototype of dog. So type dog, the object's name, and prototype, and numlex. So dot prototype dot numlex. So it says add a numlex property to the prototype of dog. Okay, that's a dog. Yep, numlex, perfect. Alright, that should do the work. Let's run the test. Oops. Beagle. Oh, my bad. How did it do it? Bird. Um, dog. I think it should be done in this way. 2. Alright, so that would be that. Dog and numlex. Add a numlex property to the prototype of dog. In that way, I highly doubt it. Yep, thought so. So I think this would be like, in that way. Yeah, perfect. Cool. So this is how you're gonna do it, guys. Yeah, I do apologize. I'm doing this the first time as well, so I might get a bit long. My solutions might take a bit longer than expected, so just bear with me there. So this is how we can add a prototype to the objects. All right, cool. So let's run the test and go to the next challenge. Alright, cool. So this one's about iterate over all properties. You may now see two kinds of properties: own, yep, and prototype properties. Own properties are defined directly on the object instance itself, and prototype properties are defined on the prototype. Right, cool. So own property is defined on the object, which is the bird object itself. However, the property and the prototype properties are defined on the prototype. Alright. So now it says here's how you add ducks on property to the array own props and prototype properties to the array prototype. Yep, cool. So what it does is that it creates two arrays, okay, on props and prototype props, and then it runs um through the duck object and checks if the duck has that particular property. If it has, then pushes it to the on props. However, if it doesn't, then it goes into the prototype props. Alright, so and then it logs the own props array and the prototype props array. Okay, cool. So add all of the own properties of Beagle to the array of props. Okay, so for let property in Beagle, which is this instance here, Beagle if um if B if Beagle, yeah, no, sorry, my bad. Yeah, nah, they should be in this way. So if Beagle has own property and then on props on props no property, then what do we want to do? The the property into the on props array. Yeah, so on props dot push property, however if it doesn't have the own property, then it means that it will be a prototype, right? So we can do um, prototype props dot push and then the property. Alright, cool. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm pushing this own property to the own props array and then this prototype property to the prototype props array. Alright, let's see if we pass the test. No property, where did I mess up? This typo. Property is not defined. Property. Property. I'm feeling pity for the property. Anyway, let's do this. Yes, we have passed the test. Congratulations. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, so now it says understand the constructor property. There is a special constructor property located on object instances, Duck and Beagle. They were created in previous challenges. Okay, this one, Beagle, and then Duck constructor. Alright. Note that the constructor property is a reference to the constructor function that created the instance. The advantage of the constructor property is that it's possible to check for this property to find out what kind of object it is. Here's an example of how this could be used. So it's creating a function, passing a candidate, and then the constructor is strictly equal to but return true. However, if it's not, then return false. Since the constructor property can be overwritten, which will be covered in the next two challenges, it's generally better to use the instance of method to check the type of an object. Alright, so now it says write a join dog fraternity function that takes a candidate parameter and uses the constructor property, returns true if the candidate is a dog, otherwise it returns a false. Right, so it's essentially saying that this constructor property, which is here and here, it's a reference to the constructor function, which is this one, bird and dog, that created the instance, okay, which is dog and beagle. Alright, so so now it asks us to write a join dog fraternity function that takes a candidate parameter, okay, this one, and you should and using the constructor property, return true if the candidate is a dog, otherwise return false. So what we're gonna do here is use the constructor property. So say if, and that's create an instance. I would say so say if the pass candidate and then the constructor property is strictly equal to the dog, then it will return true. Otherwise, it should return false. Alright. So let's run the test and see if it passes. Yes, it passes. Brilliant. Let's go to the next challenge. Right, cool. So change the prototype to a new object. Up until now, you have been adding properties to the prototype individually. Yep, individually. This becomes tedious after more than few properties. But prototype eat equals and is signing this a function which prints out nom nom nom, which is the sound that birds make when they eat. That's funny. So, and another property is adding to the prototype is function, this function which says that my name is this name. Alright, so a more efficient way is to set the prototype to a new object that already contains the property. This way the properties are added all at once. Interesting. So it's adding the prototype in the object as well. So because it's added in the prototype, it will be applied to all the instances that use this object. Alright, so that's the object prototype, and it's added eat and describe as a function in there. Cool. So now it tells us to add a property numlex, add two methods, eat and describe, to the prototype of dog by setting the prototype to a new object. Cool. So the prototype is set to a new object, and now we need to add two methods. I mean add the property num legs. So I would do num legs. Do I have to add this? Nope, I don't. Alright. Cool. So 4 and then comma, and then I would add the method eat function, oops, open bracket, close brackets, and then another function called describe. Okay, so whatever I'm adding in this part here will automatically be available on this object. Whoever uses this object to, I mean, the, it will be available to all the instances they use this object. All right. So by setting the property, cool. So it doesn't ask us to add any content to these two methods, so we'll just leave it blank. E method. I'll just write some comments in there. E method and describe. Actually, I'll write in there, I don't know, console.log the dog eats bones. Alright, and that's done there. Copy and paste it there, and remove the comments. Describe it's a tall man. I would say skinny dog. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, let's see if this works. Yay, bring that rain. Oh yeah, money, money, monies. Money, money, money's raining down. Oh yeah. So I'm gonna go to the next challenge. Alright, so this one is about remember to set the constructor property when changing the prototype. Okay, so there's one crucial side effect of manually setting the prototype to a new object. It erased the constructor property. Okay, cool. The code in the previous challenge would print the following for duck. Uh-huh. It would erase the constructor property. Uh-huh. Interesting. Yeah, because it says it's undefined. To fix this, whenever a prototype is manually set to a new object, remember to define the constructor property. Oh, right. So if you want this kind of constructor to work, as in the constructor property to work, you need to define the constructor of the object, as in the constructor, which is the name of the constructor method. Like this, I'm assuming. Dog. Oops. And that would say define the constructor property. Define the constructor property on the dog prototype. Okay, so essentially what it's saying that if you forget to use this, line at all, then if you want to console.log this line, which I will just demonstrate now. This line say yeah, object, I mean the instance of wherever the instance is of dot constructor. If you this won't work, so this line it won't work, it will return undefined. Alright, so because I've added this constructor dog now, it will keep the constructor function as it is, which is this one here. Alright, cool. So let's check if it's passed the challenge, and yes it has. Brilliant. Alright guys, and this is it for this tutorial or challenge. I hope you guys had lots of fun and learned a lot as well. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video, and go and write some code in JavaScript now. Go, go, go!